Le panel qui va suivre, c'est vraiment juste une extension de la présentation qu'on vient d'avoir. C'est vraiment de présenter 3 programmes qui sont des programmes intéressants qui existent ailleurs. Comment les programmes d'incubation en termes de technologie, de technologie, de finances, d'entrepreneuriat, ainsi de suite, qui existent dans différentes institutions, qui justement se concentrent exclusivement sur les jeunes. Et pour permettre justement aux jeunes d'être avant-gardistes et d'être des gens qui apportent les solutions. Les jeunes ont beaucoup d'idées. Mais si on leur permet d'exécuter leurs idées, vous ne pouvez pas imaginer des choses exceptionnelles qui peuvent sortir de là. Vous venez juste d'écouter un jeune à 17 ans, comment il faisait des choses, à 20 ans, comment il faisait des choses. Et qu'on doit aussi amener ce genre d'opportunités auprès de nos jeunes francophones. Alors, je vais donc attendre nos prochains panélistes. Je les vois, ils sont tous là. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Everybody speak French?
No.
No? English? Okay. It's okay.
It sounded beautiful.
We've been bilingual all day. Thank you very much for being here. As I mentioned, the idea is really how we can expose more Francophone youth to opportunities so that they can use the creativity, innovation, so that they can also develop entrepreneurial skills and have also the same benefit that all the other children have out there, or all the other young people have out there. The idea with this panel is really to present to the Francophone community, the parents that are out there, some examples of program that exist that we don't have in our community. And that, so we feel that our children are missing out, are missing out a little bit, so that they can learn about your program, they can see the example, what you guys have done. So I will just introduce you a little bit. We have first Trevor Massey, who has spent a lifetime working in the management ranks of post-secondary institution. For more than 3 decades, he was a senior manager at Centennial College in Toronto, where as college registrar, he managed the full range of student services covering admission, registration, student records, student information, and many other roles. He has also served on a number of provincial agencies and committees given to the overall stewardship of the Ontario College system, and was part of the registrar initiative that conceived and introduced the Ontario College Application Service, OCAS. And then we have Kayla Souza, who is from iCube, a program that I love, that I love very much. iCube program coordinator at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. So is our UTM here. In her role, she works with student, alumni, and community members to offer entrepreneurial support and resources as they work to put their ideas into action. Prior to her role with the iCube team, Kayla worked with the Office of the Dean at UTM, where she assists faculty across campus to develop work integrated learning program for students. Then we have Angela Wickfield, who is a student recruitment advisor at Sheridan College, and right? Yes. Angela has been with the college system for 20 plus years and has extensive knowledge on programs. She has worked in recruitment at all Sheridan campuses and both within and off college. And I know that you also here for that beautiful program, Edge, that yes, that I really, I can't wait to actually partner with all of you guys, all of you guys, so that we can bring more. So we're going to go one by one. So let's start with you, Angela. Tell us a little bit about EDGE and the program, how it works, what you guys do.
Sure. So EDGE is located in our Mississauga. So that's our newest campus. So Sheridan has 3 campuses in Oakville, Brampton, and Mississauga. And the HMC campus is right near Square One Shopping Mall. And as part of that new campus, we created Edge, which is an entrepreneurial hub. Has the most unique furniture that I've ever seen. It's the most creative space. You walk in there and you want to write a business plan and run out and start your business that day. It's very exciting. It allows students the opportunity to work for themselves for a co-op placement. So co-op means hands-on experiential learning, either working for a company and an employer where we can help you with that, or you can be the employer and you can actually write your own business plan and work for yourself and create those goals. And we've had some exceptional students come from that program. It's just fairly new. And we have Shauna K. Jones, who's amazing. We worked with her as a student ambassador. So Shauna would love to show you around, virtual tour, talk to you more. So if you have an entrepreneurial spirit and you have a passion for whatever field you're going into, but you want to own it, or you just need some support or help, even if you're in the community and you'd like an opportunity to go and work on a plan, we have individuals from outside of Sheridan that aren't necessarily studying at Sheridan, working in Edge as well. So lots of community partnerships, lots of support, and just an entrepreneurial spirit transpires when you walk into Edge. Again, that's at our Mississauga campus.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we move to Kayla. Tell us a little bit about IceCube.
Wonderful. Well, it was lovely to hear Angela detail a little bit about Edge right now, because, ICube actually works with Edge at Sheridan College for some of our programming. So a lot of what Edge does is quite similar to what we do here in ICube as the campus linked accelerator for the University of Toronto. So we support, students, alumni, and community as well who have those big ideas and that entrepreneurial spirit as well, try to put them into action. And there's different programs that we have depending on the level that the person is at themselves. So we have this collaborative program, for instance, with Sheridan, with Edge at Sheridan, that's really meant to help students who are at that very beginning stage of like having an idea and really not knowing where to go with that idea. So they need all of the fundamentals in terms of figuring out how to develop that business plan and how to think about digital marketing and finance and market research and really kind of get that foundation set. And then we have another program called Venture Forward that's meant to help students or those alumni or community members who maybe are a little further along. They have put their idea into motion already. They're ready to sell something, whether it's a product or a service, and they're looking for maybe more advanced types of mentorship, funding resources, and different types of opportunities. So we really try to meet people where they're at, but I think when you get right down to it, we're an incubator that's here to support students with ideas of all kinds and really kind of be with them along the way through a whole bunch of different challenges, because there are many when you have that entrepreneurial spirit, and it can be overwhelming. So we try to make it a little less overwhelming. There's a lot I can talk about, and I'm sure we'll get to it throughout the duration of the panel, but I'm really excited to be here.
Okay, thank you very much. And Trevor, if you can tell us about the Lifelong Leadership Institute.
Well, let's just simply set aside that wonderful name, which is kind of boring, Lifelong Leadership Institute, and let's go straight to the programs that we offer. And we offer two. One is called Leadership by Design, and that is the signature program that we offer. And that targets Black youth in the GTA area. And the second program is called Summer Up, where we offer a full suite of programs during the summer, which target, again, Black youth from across Ontario. All of this is free. So let's look at the Leadership by Design program. We think that leadership is perhaps the big tent word, the big tent activity. If you can really develop a leadership mindset, if you can simply commit yourself to learning the skills and all the good attributes of an effective leader, then that a lot of things fall into place. Career falls into place. The ability to participate in society's good citizenship falls into place. All these things, and of course, you enhance your prospects for employment. So we focus on leadership development, but here's what we do. Leadership development really says, let's take promising Black youth and provide them with the best experiences possible for their personal and career growth. Let's provide them with not just the leadership things where we can focus on the soft skills of leadership, such as effective communications, time management, collaboration, teamwork, and so on. Those are important skills. We offer our students those. But we also think that it's very important that the mission of helping Black youth grow is also the mission of helping the Black community become full-fledged partner in how our society works. We're not on the edge, we're not on the margins, we're fully there. We want to be at the table. We want to perhaps sometimes be at the head of the table, if that's not an offensive idea for some people, but that's what we're doing. So we select very promising Black youth from across high schools across the GTA, and we bring them into our program at grade 10, and we provide a multi-year program. So in grade 10, a very intensive program, and they come back in grade 11, we continue, and grade 12, we continue. So literally, we're having wonderful Black youth who can literally spend 3 years of their high school in our program. And one of the things you must recognize is that there's something powerful when you have programs outside the traditional high school, which augments what happens in the high school. Programs which really augments what happens in the university and college sector, the post-secondary sector. That's what we do. So we're talking about advancing youth with the best experiences possible. So what are these? Well, for the students who started grade 10 last year, 38 of them are involved in a program at University of Toronto, which is a STEM-based program. And that means that every 2 weeks they'd meet on a Saturday afternoon and they explore some of the more challenging aspects, the more intriguing aspects of technology, science, and mathematics. And then we have an entrepreneurship program, which is partnership with Ryerson, where we take these young people. And you must understand, for a young person who doesn't come from a family who is already in business or doesn't expose them to the business of business enterprise, sometimes the starting point for these young kids is really developing the entrepreneurial mindset. For them to really understand what it takes to start up a business, to imagine a business, to imagine an enterprise, to be able to take an idea and develop that. And also the ability to be able to not be successful in the first pass, but not be daunted by that. They can come back again, because failure in the first instance is sometimes the first step towards your path to success. So in effect, we're offering a program for youth development, which is very targeted university. We make no bones about it. The students who come into our program, we're preparing them for post-secondary studies in college and university. We're not preparing them for anything else. They can choose other things, but we're really targeting them. And the idea is that we think the students that we have the capability and the capacity to be the leaders tomorrow, to be not just leaders in the Black community, but in the wider community, to participate fully. That's what we seek to achieve.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much for that introduction. So throughout the day, we have been hearing two things. How the need for is no longer going to be about technical skills, about the soft skills that are needed for the market. And all of you are working toward that. But we've also heard about the challenge that it is there for people to even identify, for parents to identify the need, or for them to understand that they need to encourage the children toward innovation, using their creativity, because some of them, they have a mind already set up, a mind made up about certain profession. They're just looking at a certain way. How do you go about interesting either the parent to enroll their children or for the children to be part of your program?
Who would you like to speak first?
Oh, whoever is ready.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I just finished speaking. I'm going to yield to my colleagues, and then I'll
Okay.
come at the back end.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, I can go ahead.
Okay.
Sure. So I think it's really multifaceted. You know, there's a couple of different approaches that we take depending on whether or not we're trying to get to the student or we're trying to get to the parent. And sometimes there's overlap, of course, between them. You know, when we do community outreach events that involve both parents and students together, one thing we like to do is cite some of the research that we've seen with respect to even like co-curricular activities, and how being involved more so on campus or being involved in things outside of the classroom and outside of maybe a set path can really enhance a student's performance within the classroom. They can add to mental well-being and really do things to benefit the student, and also even increase that community engagement and make students feel like they belong more on campus and kind of figure out their own path besides kind of what's maybe been laid out for them, either with, traditional curriculum or maybe sometimes by their families. And so sometimes there's that lovely overlap, and we can look at different studies and kind of talk about what we've seen in a very kind of evidence-based way. When we work more specifically with students or parents, the conversation, I think, changes, and what we do, will change as well naturally. As a university, we do admittedly, I think, work a little bit more so with the students, granted. And so we really try to encourage them to be involved in things that interest them. And we try to then kind of help them navigate those difficult conversations with their family if they're bringing into our offices that this is a barrier for them, that they think maybe, and this is something I certainly saw when I was working at the Career Center actually here at UTM. I would work often with, first generation students, and they would say, my parents are telling me that my primary job right now is to get an A. They want me to focus on my studies. They have this, again, very defined path for me. I'm not supposed to deviate from it. And so part of my goal when I was counseling them would really be to help them navigate those difficult conversations by letting them know how they can share with their parents the great opportunities on campus that might speak more to them individually, and again, might increase that belonging, wellness, and academic engagement as well, which was kind of a nice gateway into that conversation for their parents who had, I think, very often legitimate concerns about the future, which in an entrepreneurial context especially is quite precarious. We talk about like the gig economy, we talk about these things sometimes that because they're less defined can be more scary for everyone. And so I think part of what we do is show students the opportunities that exist. We try to really actively listen to what is exciting to them. Because they're students, we don't tell them it's either or, that they can explore different avenues. And then again, we try to guide them as they have those really challenging conversations with family who may not understand those pathways because, again, they're scary. Parents, when they come in, to chat with us, we do very similar things. But again, it's a little bit rarer, admittedly, aside from those orientation events where we try to really get at them together.
You're really hitting it in the head there. That's the biggest challenge that and then we heard that throughout the day between the parents and the children, but also there's that other aspect of people understanding that there is, even thinking that there is a possibility there where they've never been exposed to such a thing, and they've never even been part of a conversation they've never heard. So how can they even begin to imagine that it should be for them if they don't know what it is and they've never heard of it?
Right.
And that's what we're facing more and more. And Angela, I see you.
No, for sure. Everything Kayla says, I echo. And my favorite moments are just meeting the students and the parents and the student. A light bulb goes on, or they sort of see a field that they're interested in, and the stress is taken off their shoulders, that they don't have to decide at 18 or 17 or 19 what they're going to do for the rest of their life. We do things like dual credit throughout the college system. Those are amazing opportunities for students to study at the college while you're still in high school within a college, for students that may be struggling through school and thinking, I have no idea what my future is going to be. I may have made a few mistakes, just not really fitting in right now. And all of a sudden you're put in a college environment and you thrive and you're getting 90s. And we see them be, very successful and even come back and teaching in programs. We have Youth Amplified, which is a suite of community initiatives rooted in Sheridan's mission. And that's really transformative power for our youth within the communities. Home Sweet Hope is an amazing program. So lots of external, outreach for students so that pressure's taken off. It's about finding your passion, and that could be hard. And we've all probably gone through many transitions in our life and our roles, perhaps, or done various things. And so will the youth. And that's great. That's okay. So it's just, we have a lot. And then I think if you can do co-op in high school or any experiential learning in high school, connecting those community hours that you do around something you're passionate about, to help with the college program and thinking about a college. So there's lots of cool things you can do while in college, and parents can, support those initiatives and reach out to a local college and, talk about those that are available for them. And then co-op, obviously, when you go into college or university, work placements, work internships, work integrated learning, exceptional opportunities for students to really get excited and to really learn about their career.
Now, yes, go ahead, Trevor.
I think you have parents in the audience. And our philosophy is that the parents must be fully engaged with what we do and with their students. If we're doing any field trips, the parents have to be there. If we get free tickets to the theater, it's two tickets per family, one for the child and one for the parent. From the moment the student applies, the student is required to come in for an interview, and the parent has to be there. And so we believe that the parents are fundamental to the success of the child, fundamental to the success of our program. So a parent can't say, oh, I'm going to drop off my child with the Leadership by Design program, and I'm going to go shopping at Yorkdale and come back and get the child. It doesn't work that way. They're fully there. And even when we have the in-person meetings, which we haven't had for the past year, we would have the students go off into a different space and the parents in a different space, and there's programming for both. The other thing I must tell you is that when it comes to careers and the options that are available, one of the things that works very well is mentoring. And especially for Black youth, if we can provide them with mentors and sponsors who can inspire them to think about all the possibilities and to build their confidence and not exclude themselves from things. You hear it said by many Black youth, I didn't go into that program because I didn't see myself there. And so there's some structural barriers where a lot of our kids aren't going into some of the programs that Harrison just spoke about. Artificial intelligence, hardly find many Black folk there. University of Toronto is building a $100 million facility in College Street. The question is, and where will the Black folk, will they be engaged as well? So we have to find ways to encourage our students to go into the broadest array of career opportunities, to not exclude themselves. We have to find ways to make sure they feel welcomed and supported in the programs they go into, because many of those programs that they're not having access to are programs which are future-proofed, are programs which pay very well. And so this is something we have to work at. And we're committed to that whole mission of making sure our students can pursue the careers that they wish to. And we're going to help to open those doors.
Well, that's a really great point that all of you are raising. So now I will ask you, while we're waiting for programs such as yours be built within our community, if the young Francophone children, how can they work with you? Can they work with you? Can they come to you? Can they come to your programs?
By the way, I see no reason why they can't.
Okay.
We're not well resourced to provide the full-fledged service to a student whose single language is French.
Okay.
We would try, but we do have many students from the French-speaking diaspora, from Haiti, from Sierra Leone. We have many students but they do speak English as well, and so in the program it's English. But where we can, we provide a French-speaking mentor if it's possible. But our mission is to try, not to exclude. And so although we're an organization that is not really well resourced with French speaking resources, the idea is that we will try our best to help any and all youth that is in our group. We will try.
Well, the beauty with us is that we're always bilingual. With us Francophone people, we're always bilingual. Now, if we come back into the I'm looking for my words here, but what I'm trying to do is trying to almost use you to help me advocate within my community and telling them the importance of having this kind of program, the impact that it can have on the family, the economic impact. We here for us is breaking the cycle of poverty, and then how it also has an impact, a huge impact on young people when there are this kind of program. I mean, an incubator, call program, mentorship program, and all. So if you have to advocate on my behalf, what would you tell my people? Say a message to my people here.
I think
why they should get on board and think about setting up this kind of programs.
I think for me, there's such a big message of empowerment when I think about some of the entrepreneurial programs. I know that certainly we have here in iCube. Some of them, are very actually specifically kind of created in mind with this intentionality to kind of help people who maybe come from marginalized backgrounds. Last year we piloted a program that very specifically looked at Indigenous youth and Indigenous folks who have those big ideas, but who have felt like maybe their voice hasn't been heard and therefore their ideas won't have traction. And so we've had other events as well, to really focus on female identifying founders of businesses and really supporting them in their efforts. We've had LGBTQ plus pitch events, right? And so and regardless, you don't have to maybe fall into any one of those categories, but I think regardless of who you are, there's so much empowerment that can come with this notion of I have an idea and it matters. And there are resources out there for me to get that support. I don't know what the outcome will be. Entrepreneurship can be very tricky. And here as an incubator, we certainly, unfortunately, we can't guarantee a result depending on the idea that comes forward and what will happen as we take those steps to try our best to help you. But with so many different opportunities available at our fingertips as a community, whether it's through those funding resources, through mentorship, I really, really respect and honor what Trevor said about that importance of mentorship. We have a lot of that in iCube. Different workshops that are actually community facing, by the way. So even if you're not a current member of iCube, if you go to our website and you see a really interesting workshop around something to do with entrepreneurship and you want to come to it, you can register and attend for free. And so I think it's about exploring, about checking out what's available and knowing that, again, there is a place for you and whatever your idea is, your idea is and your voice matters as well too. And so for me, I would really hit home that message around empowerment that, rather than looking at these clearly defined pathways that have been set before you, it's okay to explore something that you're passionate about as well. And again, it doesn't have to be either or. You can explore a whole bunch of different doors. But in doing that, I hope that there's something that will really strengthen whatever your own individual goal is. And I think iCube does a really good job at trying to support people. So again, it's very individual focused in the sense that, you're entrepreneurs, but at the same time, it's a huge collective network. There's a wonderful ecosystem here. And we really want you to know that although you have that great idea, there is that support too. So again, it's kind of multifaceted as well, but I would just encourage everyone to check it out.
Okay, thank you. Angela?
Yeah, and I think, just by connecting, deeply listening to the needs of the community, we've done that for a long time with all of our partners and our youth. We have program advisory councils where we work with employers and community. Again, the community initiatives that we have, which are grassrooted in what students need. So, targeting, looking at financial barriers, academic, social supports, putting those into place for students, whatever the case may be, before you come to Sheridan, so you do feel like part of a family. We might be large institutions. Universities and colleges are large, but in fact, our classes are quite small. And when you walk down the halls of Sheridan, we want to hear your story. Your story is really important, and everybody's story is unique and individual. And that's what makes up the classroom. That's what makes your learning so incredible. And then those other programs like Youth Amplified and Home Sweet Hope is an initiative to help young women just secure basic housing and parenting supports and so on, and then help them gain an education. And it's been so successful in the region, and just really showing that education is power and that we can work together as a community. We can make changes together if we just listen, we connect, we hear each other's stories. And I really think that's what Sheridan has been really great at since 1967. So we want to hear your story, want to be a part of the story, and continue to just grow those relationships.
Okay, thank you very much. And Trevor?
How do we make it possible for individuals who are at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum to fully participate in our society? How do we ensure that young kids who may speak French, who may be Black, who may be recently arrived, how do we make sure that they can simply develop to their fullest potential? And you've just heard two speakers from institutions, and I can assure you that Many of the institutions try their very best to help. Sometimes they're not as effective in terms of the support they give in the institutions. But the point is that if you arrive and you're in Canada, you do have a lot of options to exercise. You may feel intimidated about some of them, but the idea is at some point, you, the parent, you have to stop being intimidated, and you have to simply be willing to take the steps that will allow you to support your child and ensure the child get the best possible experience. So my advice is this: as parents, work closely with your children, know what they're doing. That's the first thing. I'm going to give you a secret sauce. It's called tutoring. Check with your school to find out whether tutors are available to help your student ramp up their know-how, or an outside agency. What I'm really saying is that do not allow your child to do nothing. Although one could say, if I was a psychologist, I'd be saying, yeah, they need to do a lot of nothing. And there's time for that, okay? But on the whole, what I'm trying to say is that we must start challenging our students to use their time well, to learn well, to be engaged, to be inspired, to want to know more, to be intellectually curious. And the parents have a role to do with that. The school system has a role to do with that. The social agencies have a role to do with that. So Rose, Kathy, if you say to us, how can we help you? Well, we're all here to help you. I know that any parent who wants to talk to me, we're available. But I can say this: if your child has a lot of spare time and is not challenged, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. So use the resources that are available, the clubs that are at school, the music club, the debate club, the technology club, whatever. Engage them, and that's an important first step. But also reinforce in the minds of your children that the most surefire way to socioeconomic upward mobility is education. So they have to be struck by that concept that they must strive to get as much education as is possible. I think that's the starting point for the discussion.
Well, I think I can listen to you guys. I can listen to you guys and get more insight from you all day. Thank you. I want to thank you very much for coming in and presenting your program. Is really what I wanted to have in this panel, so that they see what else exists there, because we really want to try to close the gap. We know that there is a lot of things that we're still lacking in our community, francophone, and so that they can see examples, and then we'll maybe encourage some of organizations, structure that are out there to try to work toward that, so that our young people can also benefit from all the resources and what is out there, and or for them to find out that if they come to UTM or Sheridan, the programs are already there. If they didn't have access to that while they were in high school, once they're there at the UTM or Sheridan, then they can they can go there and get the program. We need entrepreneurs. The only way we will break the cycle of poverty and the high unemployment rate in our francophone community is by having more entrepreneurs there. Thank you very much for coming today, and thank you very much for being here and sharing your knowledge, your insight, and all the information about your program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alors, comme vous avez entendu, comme j'avais dit, ce panel-là était vraiment pour présenter quelques modèles de programmes qui existent ailleurs. Parce que moi, je milite depuis longtemps qu'il y a plus de programmes, surtout des programmes pour bâtir des compétences entrepreneuriales, mais aussi pour bâtir réellement des entrepreneurs. Mais de voir comment ça se fait pour les jeunes. Parce que leurs programmes, les 3 programmes qu'on vient d'entendre, les 4 en fait, c'est des programmes qui sont concentrés exclusivement sur les jeunes. Et c'est une des choses qu'on n'a pas beaucoup dans notre communauté francophone. Des programmes pour les jeunes qui permettent aux jeunes d'avoir les mêmes opportunités que tout le monde a. Imaginez, préparer les jeunes en technologie, en entrepreneuriat, en finance, en leadership, pour qu'ils soient aussi des jeunes leaders, des leaders de demain, des gens qui amènent l'innovation, qui créent de l'emploi, qui sont en train de résoudre des problèmes et puis qui essayent de changer le monde.